Record. Record on this computer. Okay, so it's 7 a.m. Pacific. And the reason I began hosting calls at this time, I started actually hosting calls at 6 a.m. Pacific. And that's because we still were held hostage by the soccer schedule. And having calls super early in the morning meant that I could still do all the things for all the people all the time in my own family. But my baby is now in high school sports, and so there's no longer early morning Saturday games. So that's great. It's great for me. And then also, hopefully, it's a little easier for people to make the call. But I'm greatly appreciative of you all being here. This is recording. You can have cameras on or off. You can interrupt me at any time. I legit, for realsies, am a real person. And so today, what the plan is it's the idea of all of the things that you have in your head, getting them out and actually putting them on paper. So then it turns into a bit like a to-do list. So you can actually do the things instead of just continuously thinking about them or churning on them or putting them off for a future when things are quote unquote easier. But they might not ever get easier. And the only thing we can really control is the here and the now. So I do have a slide deck. This is my mother because I really am a real person. This is my mom texting something with the word yikes. Okay, I'm going to mute my mother. There's a storm happening in the San Francisco Bay Area, and she decided to send a screenshot saying a potential tornado could come to San Francisco, which is not real. And my mom really should stop watching and reading the news all of the time. So I'm going to mute her and put her far away, even though I did actually share that I was on a call at 7 a.m. Mom. Okay, game on, real person, real life. I am going to share my screen. Again, interrupt me at any time. This is very free flowing. Share. Okay, hang on. I have people in my waiting room. December. Share. Okay, and then we're going to do a view slideshow. Okay. I think all of the people in the waiting room are currently in. I have a question. What can you see from my screen? Like, can you see that little box that says participants in the waiting room, or do you just see the slideshow? You just see the slideshow? Okay. And then you guys can decide on your end how many of your heads you can see, or can you see all of your heads on my screen? I just wondered.
We can choose how many heads we see.
Okay. Thanks, Marie. Okay. Okay. So this is the idea. And then Marie, I think it was either Marie or Aaron. Someone asked if they needed to have anything prepared or printed before this call. And no, you don't. I'll send out a recap with all of the links to the things. And then, oh, Midge is here. And then also probably taking some notes right now would be helpful, but you're not behind. So the biggest takeaway is I really don't want anyone to think they're behind, because you're not. We're just trying to get it all out of your head and onto paper with the idea that you start 2025 feeling like you have a game plan and you know what's going to happen, instead of thinking, oh, I'll get to it on January 5th, or I'll get to it on January 7th, or I'll get to it the next time the kids are off school. It's not Okay, I'm just gonna get started because now I feel rambly and I apologize. And I'm sorry that mom texted, but mom is mom. Okay. Mom is mom. Okay. So many times, and I know this because I'm an author, and then I get asked by media, should you do a new year, new you? Should you try and completely and totally transform everything about you and have that be your quote unquote New Year's resolution? So maybe if you don't like any aspects of who you are and what your life is, you could do those things. But today, that's not what it's about. That said, um, I do have, I'm sorry, I'm continuing to add people to my waiting room. That said, if you go to the website, and again, in the recap, I can send everything out to you. There is a guide for New Year, New You. And the idea is to go through all of the different components that I teach about in the peace pyramid and help get all of that kind of stuff out. And a big part of it is doing an honest assessment review. And so within that PDF download, I walk you through all of that. So you can absolutely sign up for that, but I'll just send you that information at the end of this call anyway. But that's not what today is. Today is about planning now and trying to get everything out of our heads and onto paper to the best of our ability. It will never, ever, ever be perfect. And regardless of if you're like totally type A or type B, or you might consider yours, some people kind of consider themselves a hot mess and they're just looking for some sort of system. This is the system that I teach and I recommend. So let me just click on this. So what I like about something like this, so I'm going to zoom in. Let's see, can I zoom in? Okay, so what's neat about looking at a planning system like this is all of the little thoughts and ideas that you have, you can start to just plop in. So so our anniversary is July 17th. It's just very easy to just know and get it down on paper in a very simple
right now
and easy way.
Right at the top of my list.
And it's just, the idea is to stop having this kind of running rumination in your brain. I want you to feel confident that all of the stuff that you're worried that you're going to forget, you're not going to forget. And once that is out, you end up having so much relief in your brain and your body, that then you can move on to maybe something that's a little bit more pressing. And the idea of you thinking, well, there's no way I'm going to forget our anniversary. There's no way I'm going to forget so and so's birthday. You're probably correct, but it's also taking brain space. And when you think about decision fatigue and all of the different things that people, primarily women, are anxious about and nervous about, it's that mental load. And so getting it out is better. Also, once it's out, it's much easier for you to delegate, because then when you're looking at your month at a glance, your week at a glance, your day at a glance, you then can be like, oh, okay, I don't actually have to do this thing. I can delegate it to someone else. But if it's all in your head, it turns into too much work for you to explain to someone else. So you don't delegate and you just keep it all for yourself. So again, with the email that I send out, all of the PDFs will be sent to you. So don't feel like you need to capture them right now or that you're behind, because you're not. Another thing that I really like And this is actually the reason that I started thinking about this is on a wall in pretty much all elementary schools, there's this. And then the teacher lists the kids' birth dates by month. But I kind of want you to do this for one, all of the birthdays and the events that you know are happening. Also, the different things. If you think, oh, I think in September, I want to run a 5K, great, write that in. Or, oh, usually twice a year we head to the lake house, great, write that in. Put everything you can possibly think of in the different sections. And if it's helpful or useful for you, print out multiple copies of something like this, or create some sort of Google sheet where you have columns per month and then lots of different categories that you can think of. And so here's an example. And oh, I forced a copy, so we'll make a copy of it. Okay, so the idea is at the bottom, let's see. I'm trying to see where the tabs are at the bottom. Nope, it's not showing. It's not showing. Okay. When you make the copy at the bottom of the screen, what I had done is a punch list around the house, different things that you think you should do. So if in January, you know, you always need to clean the gutters, great. Add that down. In February, if the idea is that you think you might be hiring a landscape company to do some work in June for the backyard, great. Get all of those different things out of your list. If you think, again, you're going to do a 5K in September, well, then maybe come January, February, March, you begin training for it. You're downloading the Couch to 5K app. You're doing different things. Maybe you want to take up yoga. Maybe you want to do a particular hobby. Maybe you're interested in starting a book club or a Bible study or something. All of the different things that you think you might like to do, get them out of your head and just onto paper. And then you can decide when you're ready and you're calm to start scheduling them in. So then it turns into a to-do list, and you're just following a plan that you've already created for yourself. So it might feel very, 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 very over the top, control freaky. But what I found through my own life of trial and error, and then for all of the different women that I work with, is it creates this sense of calm and peacefulness, because you're just doing what you've decided you're going to do, and you're deciding to do it in a calm place, not a frantic, I'm feeling behind, my house is a mess, so I'm going to throw it all away, and then in 3 months I'm really going to be bummed because I'm trying to find something, and then you realize that you threw it away in a fit of rage or a fit of frenzy and franticness. It's the idea of creating a system and then following it on purpose. Okay, so very down and dirty, what do you need to get on paper? So any birthday you can possibly think of right now off the top of your head. If you don't know someone's particular birthday, fine. Put it on the side and in some sort of sticky note or a note card. So then later you can go back and schedule it in. But right now, anything you can think of, get it out of your brain. Birthdays, anniversaries, school dates. If you've got kids in school, all of the schools' websites will have some sort of calendar on it. Put that calendar into your own calendar any vacations, any days off, any planned anything. All doctor's appointments and dentist appointments. So everyone in the family needs to see the doctor at least once a year, and everyone in the family needs to see the dentist twice a year. Chances are, if you are on this call, you are the person who makes these appointments and schedules them in. So schedule them in. If you don't already have appointments, but you know, okay, this kids are out of school in June and then again in December, great. Put it in that you're going to call and schedule the June appointment and the December appointment and do it. As far as anything you do for yourself on a regular basis, if you get your hair done every 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, great. Begin to schedule those in and then make pre-appointments for yourself. So it's there. Same with nails. Self-care in general is not like daily grooming, but it's more things that you would do on an ad hoc basis. So maybe it's a massage, maybe it's seeing an acupuncturist or facialist or something like that. So put those in. If it's something that you've never done and you're interested in doing in the future, decide your future now. Like, okay, so I know come April, I will have just had my birthday in March, and maybe I will have gotten a gift card to book a massage. Great. Do it. I actually use the gift card and book the massage and put it on the calendar. Hobbies and future hobbies. Lots of times people come to me and they lament that they don't remember who they are and they don't have any fun anymore. And they're just feeling kind of like they're living their own version of Groundhog Day. And I want you to have sparkle and joy and excitement and something that's all just for you. So if you don't think right now you have any hobbies, I want you to start to think about that. And my best suggestion would be to have two at least, something for your brain and something for your body. So if maybe joining a tennis club or a group class at a gym, deciding that you're gonna look up your own chapter of Sierra hiking, or well, I'm on the West Coast, so it's Sierra hiking. I'm sure there's something in your area, some sort of hiking club or group. Doing something for your body on a regular basis that excites you is a hobby, and it's great for your body. As far as your brain, reading, crocheting, needlepoint, quilting. I like jigsaw puzzles. Do something just for you. So when you see it on your schedule, you're excited about it and you don't just dismiss it as another chore. I really do want you to sprinkle in glitter and sparkle in your life. Okay. If something is important to you, schedule it in. It's not type A. It's being a full-fledged grown-up human. So you make sure that it happens. What I don't want is a year from now, you realize, oh, I didn't actually do any of the things that I wanted to do or any of the things that I thought I was going to do this year. I want you to make a plan to do them. So the at a glance, again, is very similar. This was the 24, but I do have a 25. This one's 25. Just I sound like a broken record. I just really don't want you to feel defeated. It's not a good feeling, and many people feel that way, and especially this time of year. There's just a lot of regret, and I don't want that to be a place that you're in right now. I can see some chats are coming in. Um, Diane, how do you suggest calendaring a jigsaw puzzle? So it's silly, Diane. What I have been lately listening to audiobooks in the Libby app, and the Libby app is a free library app. And so at around 7:30ish, when nobody needs me anymore, I go into the dining room, and for 45 minutes I listen to my audiobook and I goof around with a 1,000-piece puzzle. And what's fun about it is it's really soothing for me to sort through the different colors, and I have this kind of elaborate setup with different drawers on this puzzle board, and it's just calming, and it's my time. And sometimes I forget that I'm listening to an audiobook while I'm sorting, and my brain starts to wander and it starts to decompress, but it's my time. So something like that for you. In the early morning, I have another version of my time when I journal, and I do two different things in the morning. I like to do a bit of a brain dump in just a very basic blank journal. And then I also have a daily journaling worksheet that I do, and that helps me plan out my day. I will send out the daily journaling worksheet, but that's free, and that's at stephanieodea.com/daily. But the first question that it asks every day is, how do you want to feel? And then from there, it's asking, how will you achieve that today? So if maybe I want to feel calm, or maybe I want to feel at peace, I then know I really should schedule in probably end of the day puzzling. Um, uh, I have all these different teas, and so that's another thing that I get excited about as I start to think while the tea water is boiling. Do I want mint tea right now, or do I want cinnamon tea? Do I want sleepy time tea? But something like that. Many times, people get super excited at the end of the day or when their kids are asleep, and they crack open a bottle of wine. And if that's you, that's wonderful and great. I am now at the age and stage of my life that wine at night is not helping me. It's hindering me because it messes up my sleep, and it also creates this kind of brain fog. Then I don't want to then get up in the morning to do the journaling and to do the yoga and to do the planning. And so for me, uh, puzzling at night, listening to an audiobook, and sipping on some tea is my version of back in my late 20s, early 30s, of cracking open a bottle of wine. But that's exactly how I end up trying to quote unquote schedule in puzzling time. Yes. So Diane says, so on the calendar you say go to puzzle. Yes. So this is an overview of days and things that you get into, but later, and especially in the Simple Shortcuts to Peace course, I talk about time blocking. And one of the best things to do when it comes to time blocking is to kind of look at your day similarly to how a school day is set up. So in a school day, at when the bell rings at 9 a.m., you're going to English. You're not going to finish all of the English class, or the math book in that particular hour, but that's okay. When the bell rings, you're going to go off to history. And then the next day, you're going to go back and pick up the math class. So with the puzzle, or with quilting, or with crocheting, or anything that you're doing, or reading a novel, there's a start and an end time that you're scheduling into your day to day. One, so you don't lose track of time. And then two, so you can continuously sort of pay yourself and reward yourself for a job well done. Okay, so I get lots of questions about digital calendars versus paper calendars. Yes, Yes, I have no rules. um, uh, uh, you do exactly what is right for you. I do use a Google Calendar, and I like, um, for me, using a Google Calendar, and that's just because I happen to have a Gmail address, so it's super really easy. And then also, my husband and children also have a Gmail address, so I can share calendars with them, and we can all see what's going on. So for my kids that are in college, I actually have their classes scheduled in different colors, so I kind of know where everybody is. And it's not because I'm a type A major control freak. It's I don't want to call somebody if they're in the middle of a molecular bio final. I just don't. I want to be respectful, and I also want to be able then to use them as talking points and text, hey, how is your so and so class today, and that kind of stuff. So it's just a way for me to have certain touch points throughout the day with the kids. um and I do. I have different things. If I haven't heard from a kid by 3 p.m., that's my cutoff. When then I'm like, oh, okay, let's see what's going on, and text so and so, and I want some sort of proof of life. For the college age kids. Same with my elderly parents. I want to ensure that if I haven't heard from anyone at around 3 p.m., 4 p.m., I check in. If I already have, then great. I get to cross that off the 3 p.m. Time slot. So digital calendar versus paper calendar. I I do use paper wall calendar um for getting stuff out of my head, and then I put it on the digital calendar. And what's nice about the digital calendar is you can repeat it. So for birthdays and anniversaries and recurring events, um it'll ask, do you want to repeat this? And you say yes. And so depending on what it is, you can have it repeat annually or weekly or monthly. And that is just helpful. It's also helpful for things like chores. If you know you're going to change the sheets every 2 or 3 weeks or whatnot, you can have that recur to kind of remind you. And so then the idea is that you're using your calendar as an itemized to-do list, that you just look and be like, oh, okay, it's 7 a.m. Got to go do this, and that kind of stuff. Eventually, you no longer will need to do all of the things because it kind of gets lumped together with like a morning routine and an evening routine. I do not write out my morning routine in any way at all anymore. It's complete autopilot. I don't have to say feed Sheldon, walk Sheldon. It's complete and total autopilot. And that's when people talk about like creating habits that work for you. It's those autopilot things that you're no longer thinking. Okay, so Erin says she created a Google Calendar for meal planning. Yes. So it shows up in a different color, and then I share that with my kids, and then they can start meal prep before I get home. So what I love about that is Erin's kids are older, and she can delegate to them. And it's so funny. I mean, I got my start with the crock pot, and the crock pot forces you to meal prep and to plan ahead, because in order to put the food on early in the morning to push a button and walk away, you have to actually have the food in the house. And so really this is the exact same thing, is you're front loading all of your brain power now. So then when you're tired, so then when you're sick, so then when you're not feeling it, you can look and see what the schedule is, what's on the calendar, what's going on, whether or not it's worth it, whether or not you can delegate, and whether or not you can decide on purpose to dismiss or move to another day. And so it's not an accidental way of living, it's a purposeful, planned out way of living. Okay, so breaking your months down into themes. So the course that I teach is Simple Shortcuts to Peace, and the idea is that on the bottom level of your pyramid is you're really paying attention first to time management. And that's what we're talking about today is time management, with the idea that once your time management is in check, you're not late to appointments, you're not missing deadlines at work, you're not feeling behind. You can start to really pay attention to different components of your life, and when you feel confident with the time management, you can put all of your brain power into learning new habits and new routines for your health and your finances and your relationships and your organization. Sometimes if something really important is happening, if you now have a health scare, if you realize, okay, my A1C is out of control and I have to rein that in, and that's going to take all of my efforting right now, that's your main priority, is taking care of your health. But all of these other little things can't actually disappear. You're still going to have to get to work on time. You're still going to have to pay attention to the different relationships in your life. You're still at some point, maybe you're not decluttering in a massive decluttering frenzy, but you're still going to have to do basic organizational chores and know where your car keys are. So that kind of stuff still has to hum along in the background. But if you have a crisis happening, or if you are feeling as if one area of your life has been neglected for a long time, paying attention to something right here, right now, with health or finances or relationships or organization, it's helpful. This is really funny. That's cute, Diane. Diane says she'd give her firstborn if she felt at peace and time managed. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. And I don't want you to have to give your firstborn, but I promise. And at the end, I'll turn off the camera and we can have an open discussion. But I know there are some women on the call today who have been working on this for a while, so they can share what has worked and what hasn't. But yeah, I don't want that to have to happen. Okay. Okay. So with the new you, and the way kind of Simple Shortcuts to Peace is laid out, and the way I work with all of my coaching clients, is it's taking this honest assessment of where you are. And so I'll send you the new you things, because I ask you very specific questions of where you are, and really being honest. You have to know what your blood pressure is. You have to know some different components. You have to know what the numbers are in your current bank account, your credit card bills, what debt you might be working on. You need to know what money is in retirement accounts. If you haven't logged into Social Security for a while, log in, see what the government has quote unquote promised you. Hopefully all of us are of an age that it will still exist. Getting those things so you're not surprised, and just really paying attention to that. And then when you're in a good mood, and it might not be the same day, so this might take a while, and that's okay. If so, I like to do the taking stock of the here and now worksheets. For us, it's kind of a dead week between Christmas and New Year's. We end up going to a family cabin. I don't ski because it hurts my knees and hips, and so I like to just kind of journal and daydream and pontificate in that time. Whatever works for you works for you. But then the next idea is to be a little dismissive of reality. And if you had a magic wand, or if you won a lottery, where is it you want to go? What would magically be amazing? And daydream about that, and write out where it is you want to go. What do you see yourself doing in these different things if you could suspend all disbelief? And then the what's in the way part are your action steps. Those are the things to work on. And it might not take 1 year, and that's okay. It might take 3 years, it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years. But that's okay also, because if we're lucky, Life is long and you don't have to feel like you have to cram it all in. Humans want to work towards something. They want to feel fulfilled. They want to feel purposeful, and working towards something is what provides that feelings of fulfillment. So, if you read the Slow Living book or have listened to the podcast, I talk about a 3-step success formula pretty often. And the idea is mindset plus action plus consistency equals success. So the mindset part is getting in a good mood. Lots of times people feel calm and at peace super early in the morning. And so that's why I suggest journaling then when you've got the house to yourself. Maybe it's being out in nature. Maybe it's going on a hike. Maybe it's sitting and watching a body of water. But when you're in a good mood, ask yourself what the next steps are and then go quiet. And what your subconscious bubbles up with are the action steps. And then you're just kind of doing those action steps that you laid out for yourself over and over and over again, even if you don't necessarily want to do them. And that is the consistency part. And that's how habits are built. Okay, so if you've been in the Peace course, you have seen this slide a lot. So the idea is, instead of thinking you're going to completely and totally transform your life in 1 year, I want you to kind of come up with a 3-year plan. And the reason that I like 3-year plans is because a 10-year plan or a 5-year plan seems really abstract, and sometimes people don't get started and they think they have all the time in the world. But I want you to really start to pay attention to it. And then maybe, depending on what you're working on, maybe your health is really bothering you right now. Maybe your relationship with your spouse or something in your life is really, really bothering you right now. That would be that kind of New Year focus that you're focusing on. It's still part of the 3-year plan, but it's what you're sort of working towards. And then the action comes with deciding that you're going to utilize your daily calendar, deciding you are going to look at your calendar every week and kind of plan it out, and then deciding maybe if you want to start to create some new habits in your life, you do 30-day challenges. And a 30-day challenge, I'm sure you've seen them all over the internet, like a 30-day planking challenge or a 30-day decluttering challenge or a 30-day buy nothing challenge. Something like that is what I mean by that. And if it takes you 45 days to do a 30-day challenge, that is okay. So if you are gung ho and you've done 4 days in a row, and then all of a sudden you get sick or the dog gets sick and you've got to take him to the vet and you're up all night and you didn't do the thing that you said you would do on day 6, 7, and 8, it doesn't mean you have to start your 30 days all over again. Nope. This is real life. And in real life, there's ups and downs and all around. And it just is what it is. So you just, the next time you do the thing, you mark it off and you do it until you get to that 30-day mark. And then you take an honest assessment. Was this helpful for me? Am I closer to the idealized version of myself that I want because of this 30-day thing? Is this something that I think I want to start scheduling in regularly? Do I want to allot time in my daily to do maybe planking or something like that? And if not, great. You did it. You tried it. Move on to another 30-day challenge. When something is working and you can tell that it's helping you, doing it over and over and over and over again, even on the days that you're not feeling it, is what builds habit. And it's kind of building that habit muscle. So I have, there's a wall hanging above the desk over there, and it says, discipline is just choosing between what you want now and what you want most. I am a pretty lazy person in my brain. I can always make an argument of doing nothing. Always. I love Bravo. I love really hardly doing anything. That said, I know my joints will hurt. I will feel less energetic. I will feel sluggy. My clothes will get too tight, and I'll probably also being a little bit cranky if I don't do the things that I said I was going to do. So even though sometimes I'll look at my to-do list and I'll groan, I'm like, oh God, I really don't want to do that thing. And then I start to think about future stuff. Well, will stuff tomorrow be happy that you did this thing? And if the answer is yes, and it's usually yes, then I just force myself to go do the thing. Another thing that I am a huge fan of is setting timers and just having Siri set a timer for 10 minutes and doing something for 10 minutes. And if 10 minutes seems daunting, then do it for 2 minutes, do it for 3 minutes. And just giving yourself that tiny little bit of a win so then you can cross it off of your to-do list. And that's what builds consistency. So if it's the mindset plus action plus consistency, this is what it looks like. Okay. So we talked a little bit about this, but let's see if I'm moving around this meeting chat. I don't know if it's blocking the screen. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. These are different slides that I've pulled from Simple Shortcuts to Peace, our monthly calls, but these are examples of 30-day challenges, which then you sort of schedule into your time blocking thing. And that's what creates habits. So there's kind of a buzz term called habit stacking. And the idea is if you already have a habit, you then stack a new habit to it. So for instancing, I microwave my cup of coffee multiple times a day for 30 seconds. I don't need to schedule that in, but what I can do is use that 30 seconds that I'm heating up my coffee to do push-ups off of the kitchen counter or drop to the ground and plank for 30 seconds. That's what a habit stack is. Something that you're already doing on autopilot, attach a new habit to it. And so that's what then creates kind of a 30-day challenge that you decide and creates a habit, and then you're time blocking it in. And then one thing that I really like for focus is this sort of acronym of follow one course of action until success. And I think sometimes what happens is people after a week or after a few days think, ugh, well, I've planked 3 days in a row and I don't have rock hard abs yet. So now I'm going to switch it up and do something else. I don't want you to switch it up. I want you to do something until you begin to have evidence of success. And that's why, at least for 30 days, is what the suggestion is when you're testing out a new to you habit. Okay. So if you have tried different things in the past and they haven't worked, and you're wondering, okay, Steph, so why do you like your Simple Shortcuts to Peace program so much? Because I've tried lots and lots of other things and they haven't stuck. And then come March and April, I feel really disappointed in myself. And then I wait. And then come December again, I'm thinking, okay, well, the new year's happening. This is the year that I finally switch things up. Why do you think this program works when others haven't? I think it's because I utilize the slow living philosophy, which is to simply look only within. And what works for you doesn't necessarily work for someone else. And that's okay. And that doesn't mean you're doing it right and they're doing it wrong, or vice versa. It's deciding what works for you. Not everyone wants to do yoga. Not everyone wants to lift weights. Not everyone has a dog. Not everyone is married. Not everyone has kids in elementary school or high school or college. You have to take the ideas and adapt them to your own life in a really flexible way. And so, my best suggestion for you is to hit the pause button and then just ask, what is it I'm trying to do here? If I'm looking at my life in my 60s, 70s, 80s, what do I want that to look like? What do I want to look back on fondly? What type of memories am I trying to create for myself and for my family? And then figuring out how to get from where you are to that vision. And it will look completely and totally different for every single person. And so the tools within the course teach you how to use these suggestions in a way that applies to your own life, regardless of what your own life looks like. Because we are all of us, completely and totally different. And it would be a really, really, really boring life if we all were walking around like Stepford people. It's not a life I want to live in. It's not a life I want my kids to live in. So within the course, this is also true with the coaching packages that I provide. You get access to Simple Shortcuts to Peace that you have forever. And within there are video modules and worksheets and suggestions and to-dos and journal prompts for everything. What also is different between a completely, totally you're on your own course and what this has is access to coaching. And it's optional coaching, but it's there for you whenever you'd like. You get one-on-one calls that you can have with me within the course package. It's 2 that you can redeem at any time. I really am a real person. And I will help you design the life that feels good for you and something that makes you, maybe not every day, but hopefully more often than not, kind of jump out of bed every day with like, okay, I've got this. And I've said this on the podcast, and it's true. I have 2 sort of running thoughts when my alarm goes off, and I get up early. I'm either a 4 a.m.er or a 5 a.m.er, depending on the day. And actually, what was really neat for today that we're meeting at 7 versus 6 is it's a Saturday, and I could get up at 5 instead of 4. So that was exciting. The first thought I usually have is today is the day that the Lord has made. And then the second is, okay, let's do this. Like, come on, let's do this. I don't have a defeatist thought of, oh, my alarm has gone off. I don't want to do this. I actually really don't have that thought. I'm excited in the morning to get out of bed. Sometimes after I've been up for an hour or 2, I'm tired. And sometimes I want to go back to bed, and depending on the day, I do. But really, I love that kind of early morning wake up time that I've created for myself. And that's what I've created for myself. And that is what has brought me peace. But it is, again, different for every person. But the idea is to create something in your life that you're so hopeful about, so excited about, and just you are curious to be like, all right, well, what's today going to be like? And that's that kind of life well lived atmosphere that we're trying to create. Within the course offerings, I do also have PDF ebooks of all of the ebooks. So the Clean Less, Play More, which breaks down all of your seasonal, your monthly, your weekly, and your daily chores into bite-sized pieces, and then ideas on how you can then schedule them into your day-to-day life. 2-4-6 eat is intermittent fasting simplified. You do not need to intermittent fast unless you want to intermittent fast, except for many of the women that I've worked with have found that not only does it sort of alleviate decision fatigue, it's also been a pretty interesting way to kind of do a factory reset on their metabolism and their adrenals, and maybe after when we're all back, if anybody wants to share, they can. The Mommy Blogger Next Door, which is AKA How I Became the Crockpot Lady. Some of you want to start online businesses or want to learn how to write. And so in this, it's part memoir, part how to on how I got the websites up and running and publicity and things like that. And then How to Live Slowly is essentially the book proposal for the new slow living book. And it was the first foray into writing about slow living and deciding what that meant. And so it's definitely simplified compared to the slow living book. And that's the slow living book. And so I'm sure you've seen this often. And the tagline is cultivating a life of purpose in a hustle driven world. So the new book is very similarly laid out to the Peace Course, and the Peace Course is more in depth. And then it also has the coaching component. Okie dokie. So money, things cost money, and it just, in order to pay for my time, and it's just what it costs. So Simple Shortcuts to Peace, it's a one-time fee. Everything's a one-time fee. And you get access to all of the offerings, 2 1-hour coaching calls with me that you could redeem at any time. $750 is 4 calls with me along with Simple Shortcuts to Peace. And then $2,000 is 12 1 hour. And actually Aaron's on the phone. It used to be 10 1 hour, but then Aaron pointed out that the mathing doesn't work. So now it's 12. You don't have to do all this in a year. I work with people for multiple years in a row. You don't have to do 12 calls in a year. If it takes 3 years to do 12 calls, that's fine. You don't get kicked out of the Peace Course after a year. I'm not going anywhere. Adam has this very long, very detailed spreadsheet of until we get to retire. And he just kind of slowly is shifting the goalposts each year. He says it's inflation. Well, I don't know. He's an engineer. The Peace Course calls for this upcoming year, due to no longer needing to be at soccer at 8 a.m. in drizzly Bay Area weather, won't be at 6. They will be at 7. And this is the schedule that I will adhere to. So it's the second Saturday of the month at 7 a.m. For this upcoming month, I thought it might be fun to do a vision board party. I love vision boards. We can do it digitally. We can do it with magazines. But it's that idea of if you had a magic wand and you could make it all better. And then it's that visual component of moving towards what it is you would like. And it'll just be fun. So my suggestion would be to bring a stack of magazines and some glue sticks and some sparkly markers, and we'll just get going. Okay. So those were the pricings, but right now until January 10th, and that's because we're going to have a call on January 11th, there's a coupon. And so the coupon code is new 2025, new 2025. And so in honor of 2025, it will all be 25% off. And so you can access that coupon code until January 10th. But again, I'm not going anywhere. You can ask me any and all questions. Okay, let me do a stop share, and then we'll go back. Can you see me? Can I see myself? Yes. Okay. Yes, Marie says, can I send the schedule out? Yes. So what's fun? So Marie has done the Peace course. Midge has done the Peace course. Erin is here. So if you have questions and you're like, okay, well, how much of a scam is this? Because I have fallen for scams in the past. It's not fun. And I really am a real person and I really do want to help. And if at any time you're uncomfortable in anything, just call me out on it. Because I legit have nothing to hide. I stand by the course and the offerings. I stand by the testimonials. I stand by that these are real people. I have not hired them. They are not actors in any way. They're from all over the place. I really have had one-on-one calls with them. So there you go. Also, Marie wrote in that intermittent fasting helped, and I'm glad because Marie's son got married, and she had a specific dress she wanted to wear, and then she rocked that dress.
And I just want to add in, I actually haven't completed the course. It's taken me a while to get through it. So in 2025, I'm going to start fresh with everybody and do it all again. But yes, Steph coached me on intermittent fasting and helped me, and it actually wasn't working for the time frame we had set. So then she said, okay, you got to change your intermittent fasting, and that's what helped me.
Oh, good. And then, okay, so since you're on the Pacific Coast with me, is
Mhm.
7 a.m. better, worse,
Yes,
same? Okay,
yes.
good. Okay, good.
I'm so happy.
Okay. Oh, and Melissa's here. Melissa says she's starting fresh too. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Okay. Oh, and Erin's going to start fresh and Melissa. Great. Does anybody have any questions, any clarifying anythings? Is there anything coming up in the next few? Ooh, I have a very itchy nose. Um, anything happening in the next few weeks or anything between now and January 11th that I can help with?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What are you guys, I would like to know what are on people's like, what is it called? Like to don't list? Does anybody have like a to don't list? Like what kind of things are you not doing purposefully?
What a great question. So is that in terms of the holidays or just in general?
I guess since you just said about, the next week and, the next 2 weeks, I was kind of thinking of like right now more. So, I mean, I'm getting ready to cancel a meeting that I have scheduled for Wednesday. That's just like a weekly meeting that I don't think we have to do this week just to, gain back that extra couple hours. So I was just thinking, does anybody have any other good ideas of what they're doing so I can get some inspiration?
Let's see.
I'm not going to beat myself up over things that I didn't do before because I can't do anything about that. So I'm going to focus on going forward.
That's great, Erin.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I don't like to use the term victim mindset or anything like that. And some people talk about that when it's talking about the past and things that happened. I like to take stock of the here and the now and then plan the future. But oftentimes, in order to do the things in the future, if you find that and not you in general, I'm just talking very globally, are maybe self-sabotaging or not living up to your promises, maybe cleaning up some past traumas or some past things that you haven't yet forgiven yourself is helpful and useful. And I'm also a big proponent of inner child work and going back and talking to like 4-year-old you, 6-year-old you, 9-year-old you, and being the adult in the room and kind of consoling um, that person that sometimes, unfortunately, adults in our lives and maybe even well-meaning adults made some really huge massive mistakes and coming to terms with that. So I do help and can talk, and I also have some different resources. But if you find that you have this kind of defeatist voice or a it doesn't matter what I do, it's not good enough voice, doing a little bit of inner child work might be helpful and useful to you. But I like that for you for right now, that you're not going to beat yourself up because there's nothing wrong with you, and it just is what it is. Thank you for sharing. That was brave. Was brave. Delindia says she didn't go to a holiday party this week due to dealing with anxiety that's causing high blood pressure, and giving herself permission without the guilt is helping. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad for you also to do that. And when you say no to something, sometimes people globalize or catastrophize and think, well, then I'll never get invited again if I don't do this. And I have to do all this stuff or they're not going to like me, and kind of people pleasing. And so I'm glad that you have given yourself that grace to say no, and know that no doesn't mean forever. It just means not now. And that's another thing, especially when it comes to people in our lives. um there's this kind of like gray rock approach. If someone in your life isn't meeting your needs, you can put them on pause, but you don't necessarily have to call them out and tell them that you put them on pause. They don't ever need to know what you've decided in your own life. So. Okay, what do we think, guys? Anything else? Are we good? Okay. I am going to stop recording, but if anybody wants to stay on and chat, that's fine, but we don't need to do it on the recording. I think you're all amazing and lovely and wonderful, and I appreciate you getting up early and doing this, and I will talk to you later. Okay, I'm going to press stop recording.